friends and neighbors. Welcome in the light, where laughter's the answer and hearts are shining bright. With calloused hands and wits, so raise your sharp. Let's praise a place where love ignites the spark.
Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to the Sunnyside of Life. I'm glad you're with me. Sorry I missed last week. I was busy. Do you care? Maybe. I don't know. It's I do get occasionally somebody texts the show and wants to make sure everything's still going all right and everything. It's fine. We had a big weekend last weekend. It was our celebration of life for my father-in-law. I had lots of folks out here at Sunnyside, probably about a couple of hundred people. We did a cool little service out in the trees where he had carved out a niche, a little spot in the woods, and he said this should be we should have a church, and so he just kind of took care of it with the grass, and it really made for a really special place. So we did that for about 10 or 15, made everybody walk out into the woods, and then about 15 minutes later I had to make everybody walk back, and then because we're efficient, we made them carry their chairs back up the hill to the barn, and then we had our big get together in the barn, and that was awesome, and lots of videos and stories and just food and good times, and it went late into the night. It ended with there was some karaoke singing that was was not planned. That was happening, and so by the time the weekend was over, family had departed and headed back to their various locations. It was time to just kind of get back into the week and get things settled, and so that's what happened. So just kind of took a week off, and that's my explanation why. But not today. Today, happy to be joined by Chris Wellendorf. So if you're not familiar with that name, that's fine. You soon will be because of this show and many other enterprises. He is our food service director. Is that the correct title, Chris?
It's either food service director or director of food service.
Okay.
I've seen it on either one.
But director is definitely involved. Yeah. So you are directing some stuff with the foods, and that we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a variety of things. You got some interesting hobbies. Glad you're here. Welcome to Sunnyside.
Happy to be here. We had talked the other day. I heard your podcast and really appreciated the content, and thought, wow, that was just, very thoughtful, very wholesome.
Oh.
So I'm happy to be a part of this.
Yeah, well, that's what we try to do. I mean, sometimes I do veer off into politics, and I have my predictions and conversations. I try to keep it pretty middle of the road. People know I'm conservative and all of that, but I'm not too crazy on most politicians. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes I talk about that, but yeah, we want to talk about people that are the sunny side of other people's lives and the things that we're doing with our lives that are bringing joy to other people, pursuits that make us happy, and liberty comes in there quite a bit too. Life, liberty, and the pursuits which make us happy. That's our byline that we've been doing now for 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, it's good to have you. We were actually at a golf tournament, and this is surprising to my listeners because they know I'm a wicked poor golfer. Just not a good golfer. But I had actually a pretty good day.
I'm happy to hear that. Myself, we were both at that. It was a really fun time. My wife works at Litson RV.
Yeah.
And so
that does mine. Yes. Yeah.
In common.
Yeah.
And I had a day that, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
But I did have some improvement. So I'll count it as a win. But it was fun.
Well, we golfed in eightsomes, so that's unusual, and so it took a little bit longer than maybe it normally would, but it was fun. And I didn't have a lot of great shots, but I had enough that made me feel like I could maybe golf again some other time. Not in any hurry to do it as the weather gets colder, and it did. Like we quit early, like we did 9 holes.
Okay, and
our group was like, "That's good enough. We're back at the clubhouse. We're not going to win this."
We had some people kind of tracking sunlight and daylight, and I think we got to the 14th hole.
Okay,
and it might have been the 15th, but long and short, somebody on their second swing hit the flag, like in the and we said, okay, that's going a high note here. We're gonna say that's in. We're done. So we tried to push through it, but it was getting cold, and it was kind of like, all right, let's go eat some food and stuff.
The wind was blowing. Once the sun went down or behind the clouds, it was, the days are shorter. So yeah, we weren't going to win anything. We were one under with 9 holes done, and we're like, it's just not getting any better. So the best we could have done if we averaged it out was maybe it was two under, and yeah, so it was fun being in there first because it was kind of funny because we were the last group to go out, so we were behind everybody anyway, and watching everybody else come in and like, what? Why are you guys here? It was like we're already eating, and yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, we talked at that, and I've actually talked in previous times. This past summer, we talked during our town celebration of the Pucker Brush Days, which is a iconic name in its own right. And you had some libations on Main Street, which is Clark Street. Actually, is our main street in Forest City.
So that was I was invited to participate with some of the planning of the Pucker Brush events, and in the midst of those meetings, I can't remember exactly how it came about, but we were looking for people to participate in the Clark Crawl, which was a kind of a progression of stops for grabbing drinks specialized from different businesses, and I happened to be a home brewer and thought that might be a nice addition to the experience, and it just kind of happened, and we got set up there. It was a cool booth. Tora Buffington was also there with me. She brews beer also.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
she's very good at it.
Yeah, she also doesn't she work? She works for
yes,
you, doesn't she?
Works in the same department.
Yeah,
so that was kind of convenient because we could plan a little bit, easier and keep in touch and stuff. And so that was a nice. I mean, you sampled it. So
I did.
Maybe you could give me some feedback.
I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was great. I love home brews, and I like the darker beers, generally speaking, or clean lager. And so I mean, I'll pretty much. What I don't like is I don't like IPAs. I am not an IPA guy, sure. and it's so and I know that that's a thing. I don't know my listeners if they love IPAs or not, but I feel like it's just so hoppy that it ends up. I mean, it reminds me of just like a rank armpit or something. Yeah, just terrible. But people, and I think some people like the really hoppy stuff, like the really strong IPAs, where they're like, I mean, it's almost like they're torturing themselves. It's like, isn't this great? As they want to invite you into their misery, and I'm like, no, I can smell it from here. It's not great,
There's some memes that I've seen where I won't use profanity, but they basically just describe this contest of like, hey, have you tried this new skunk?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I haven't.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's too much. I don't really love IPAs, but otherwise, just pretty much any other beer, I'll enjoy that. And I thought you did a great job there, and we had a good conversation. Really, probably annoyingly long to my wife anyway. About
I've never done that.
How long?
Can
you talk about? Hops and roasted barley and the different processes and things like that. And local sourcing is hard with beer because, I mean, we have all the grain in the world, but it's all the same kind of grain. And you can make, beer from corn mash. I don't know how good that is. I feel like that's like what old style is, but I could be wrong.
Well, actually, no, you're on
or
point.
Bush. I think Bush Light uses corn syrup anyway.
Coors does.
Coors, okay.
Coors uses corn syrup.
Yeah.
And Bush is going to be, I believe it's going to be rice. That's their adjunct.
Oh, that's their
So
grain.
they all do use barley.
Yeah.
But corn is.
So you have to have barley.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those.
Really?
Yeah, it goes back to the purity laws. I should know all. I mean, I guess I'm not.
There's purity laws for beer? Really? Interesting.
Yeah, it goes back to Germany when they. The long and short of it was people were making beer out of almost anything.
Yeah.
And so they're just like they did with champagne and different things like that.
Yeah.
They set the criteria. And so you've got malt, which is from barley.
Yeah.
Or wheat. or wheat.
Yeah.
But malts.
So when people say malt, though, just to clarify, because I learned this like just maybe in the last couple of years, I never really paid attention to what it was. So that is like a process of barley. You roast it, don't you?
Well,
or something like that.
Yes, that's one of the steps. So essentially, what happens with a malt is, as a seed or one of the wheat berries or the barley berries germinates. So it's like a forced germination. That is,
oh right, yeah.
Then it stops. So that starch is basically the enzymes that kick off the germination.
Yeah,
start it, and then you stop it right away.
Okay,
and that is where you get this. The starch is what gets converted into sugar during the brewing process, which is then converted into alcohol.
Yeah, you don't have to roast it.
No, but the more you roast it,
the darker it is.
You stop it. Yeah, the roasting will change some of the flavor.
Yeah.
You can control it that way. But you do have to stop the germination process, which is generally what the roasting does. So the length of roast will change flavor profile and other things like that.
Yeah, and then the hops, that's a completely different kind of animal. It's a plant, really tall plant. Well, I mean, viney type thing. Yeah, and
related to other weeds, things like that, which is interesting. You know how it has that. Just plants in general. You see just different species and what they're connected to, and like for example, this is totally a little off subject, but I'm a big fan of nightshades.
Sure.
When I found out a potato was nightshade, it like blew my mind.
Potato is? Tomato is.
Tomato is.
Yeah, I knew
potato, tomato.
No way.
Plant.
So that's a tuber. I thought a potato was a tuber.
Well, it's the root.
Yeah.
But then
the plant itself.
The plant itself is a nightshade. Just like mandrake, which is kind of a mythical plant. I mean, it's real, but it's stuff like that. So it came from. There's a line in. See the deadly nightshade grow. So it's a line from Genesis. Is it's not Dancing with the Moon at Night, but it's on Selling England by the Pound. And so it was this line that always stuck out to me. Like, what are they talking about? Nightshade. So it sent me on this, and I love spicy peppers. Anyway, so little aside, I do that sometimes, so I apologize.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the hops, what's really fascinating about the hops is, generally speaking, it was used as a preservative method.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so that was the initial, along with a balancing. It's bitter.
Yeah.
So like you're basically taking sugar water.
Yeah. And
turning it into
a little better. Yeah.
A little better, and so it kind of balances that.
Okay.
And so depending on what time or how long you throw the hop into the brew during the boil process, it will break down essential oils. It will, make it more bitter the longer it's in there, generally speaking. And then the less time it spends in your boil, the more aromatic or flavor will get carried over. So, for example, with one of the beers that I had, it was a hazy IPA for the event up at Pucker Brush.
Yeah.
That particular style, New England IPA hazy, it's high hops, floral, fruit, but low bitter. How do you achieve that?
Yeah.
So basically once I'm done boiling, the wort is what it's called, or yeast goes into it. This liquid.
Wort. Yeah.
Yep. WORT.
It was also that was the nickname of King Arthur, allegedly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they called him Wort in that spelling, not with the ART, but ORT. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wonder why that is.
Well, words are a whole other
animal. Yeah.
Things to go down the etymology and history of words. So anyway, to cap off that thing with the hops, you can achieve all kinds of different flavors and intensities. So in that case, I threw it in after I was done boiling it. So there's almost no minimal destruction of essential oils because you want that smell, and then without going too far into the beer thing. But so then the next stage with that particular style of beer, IPAs in general, they're prone to oxidation, and so oxidization.
Yeah, I always struggle with that one too.
It's tough. And so you want to make those transfers, from one vessel to the next, after it's done fermenting, you want to limit the exposure to oxygen. So purging tanks with CO2 and transferring them over, and all of these tiny little things became really fascinating to me because it's almost like an endless, there's like no end. Yes, there's basic frameworks and styles, but you really could do it indefinitely and always achieve a new experience.
Yeah.
There's so many variables there. And one hop to the next, there are all these different species, breeds, I should say, all with different flavor characteristics for different reasons.
Yeah. Have you ever made something and you're just like, this is like, throw it out?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, but see, the kind of the golden, not the golden rule, but just kind of the unspoken rule of like, if that happens, just leave it alone. Because it does change over time.
Okay.
Eventually you do kind of get things down and they'll be away. And so I had, for example, there was a beer I was going to, this is one of these happy accidents. One of the beers that I was going to present was something I've been working on called Old Gold, which is just a straightforward standard American lager.
Yeah.
And in the fermentation or the lagering process, I had transferred this into lagering process is basically where you put it away for a long time and keep it cold.
Okay.
It's all, and it just sits there.
Okay.
Clarifies and finishes up and mellows out. So there's really no way to speed that up because that's what makes a lager a lager.
Okay.
And so versus an ale. And so I did everything by the book. I had been really improving this recipe. I was very stoked about it because I really wanted to present this. I thought it would be very popular. Well, I blundered in that the keg that I had transferred it to for the lagering process, I had previously used with a pumpkin spiced ale.
Oh.
Which I had cleaned.
Yeah.
Right? So but I find this out later because one keg to the next, they all kind of look the same. I'm not really tracking them. It's not it's just like an industry for me. It's a hobby. Despite trying to keep things, clean and tidy because there's chemicals and things that you use and do it all, whatever. So I go to pull samples on this, we're getting close to the day, and I pull a sample and I'm like, this is not good. This is very, what is this? And so I'm drinking it again and I'm like, boy, this is nutmeg. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
this was a pumpkin beer. And it's something like that, right?
Yeah.
That you would, and there's no way I could recreate that.
Right.
Really. I could get close.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? First of all, it wasn't good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really kind of made it kind of a weird flavor.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh boy, I had made a couple other beers and I was like, oh, thankfully Tora ended up having another beer to present. So I'll just do two.
Okay. So this to get to the pucker brush. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't make a new beer in a week.
Yeah. No.
And so I'm like, so then I tried. I'm like, okay, so there's ways you can go about this. Usually, you can kind of sell something. If you can sell it to somebody and kind of say, hey, this is what's up.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, I thought about firecracker lager or something, like the spice of, or I don't know. There was some things that came through my mind. I'm like, that's not quite it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do I do to this to make it? I'm not going to use it, but I don't want to get rid of it because I was at that point. I'm going to dump this out.
Yeah.
Well, so I decided, what can I do with this? So I called one of my old chefs and I said, Chef, here's the situation. He was my sous chef, but I relied on him very heavily because he had a very just profound grasp on. He was a very interesting person. He had some shortcomings, but he had a gift for flavor. Like he could see it in his mind.
Okay.
Like you see the day before you. And we actually went to the same school and stuff like that, but at different times. And he gives me these ideas. I'm like, okay, so my thought is I'm going to marry this into it basically came around to this idea of like Summer's Last Stand, because you've got this spiced autumny type, almost pumpkin season thing going on.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put it with lime, and it's going to make key lime, like, pie type thing. And it ended up being like very good.
Okay.
After a while.
Yeah.
It needed to mellow out.
Yeah.
It took about a month and a half, so about September from the middle of July. It took me another month and a half to get that ready to be like acceptable, and I drank it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it was like, I found myself going back to this and going back to this. So there might be a lesson in there somewhere of just, don't give up.
Even from the mistakes you can get. I mean, that's probably how beer was originally figured out anyway. It's just a mistake and continues to get improved and experimented and gone in all the different directions. And it is, so very interesting topics of discussion on the Clark Street of Forest City, Iowa in the summer in July, and educational too. So you touched on a couple of things. First of all, so you mentioned your sous chef, and so and going to school for this. So let's jump back, talk a little bit about that. So you are the director of food service or food service director, whichever it happens to be. And is this your beginning of your third year now, or
no? This is let's see. Okay, I started June 2022.
Yeah.
So that would have been.
So it's 3 years. Yeah.
3 years down. This is moving fourth cycle around. So,
yeah.
I spent my first year working alongside the previous director, and that was actually a really good and helpful experience because of just the nature of just some of the things about the job and how it is cyclical.
Yeah.
So like you don't see there's certain things you do only one time a year, but it has you have to do it, and so it's like being able to go through one cycle and take notes and try to keep up with some of those things. That was good.
So you came from, so you were obviously, cooking before. So how does it, so what's the background there?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of all, if we really want to go all the way back. Well, I remember when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
My grandma, I would cook with her. She was big into hospitality. That was kind of her emphasis of study, home ec kind of thing. And I would work with her to make these, cookies and different things. I remember in particular, she bought me a cookbook for Christmas one year.
Cool.
And that was just really, I just loved the book.
Yeah. It's a good idea, by the way. Parents and grandparents, cookbooks for your kids and grandkids is actually a great idea because it's something that it's a life skill. And go on. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Oh, totally. No, I totally agree with that. And then when I was really young, I would watch my dad cook. He would just cook on the stove, stuff that he learned from his mom, steak, potatoes. I mean, just things that steak and tater tots is another one. But I would sit there and he'd put a dish towel or something so I could sit down and watch him cook because I just loved that stuff goes in the pan and the sound and all this stuff. So I always said I wanted to be a cooker.
Okay.
That's what when I was little. I want to be a cooker.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's just
people got to eat.
People got to eat.
Yeah.
So that kind of started my I guess you could say it's where it started. And then when I was going to school here, I had a job at A&W.
Okay.
And I loved that job.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I loved that job.
Well, it's got great root beer.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
That's just one of many good things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know.
Although I never did make the root beer. That was
Yeah.
Scott. He usually made the root beer.
Yeah.
And but I just loved working. There was a couple things about that place that really got me excited about cooking. One, it was like they were very fast.
Yeah, fast paced. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that to me really captivated my attention because it's like, wow, we're really booking.
Yeah.
I mean, our stuff's got to be up in under a minute.
Wow.
2 minutes if it's cheese curds.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we made that to order, so that's okay. So that high pace kind of adrenaline pumping.
Yeah.
And then it was just a blast hanging out at work. And we always just kind of joke. I tell people about this sometimes. It's like we would go to work, and we'd, I don't know, 2 or 3 nights a week or whatever. And then when we weren't at work, we'd go back to work and we'd hang out with the people who were at work just to hang out until they had to go to their shift. We were just always just kind of hanging out at work.
Yeah.
And it was until people were off work, and then we'd go hang out and drive around and whatever. But I liked being at work, and I really liked cooking, and that was kind of, I don't know, I got into that rhythm.
That's not a fancy beginning.
No. But now, have you ever seen the movie, it just recently came out. It was, 2022, I believe. And I'm not a big movie guy, but it's The Chef or, what was it? It's a guy where they go to an island and they have these really fancy meals. It's kind of like a horror movie, which I didn't discover until later into the movie. And that was kind of a twist. I was like, oh, this is not my normal kind of thing. Oh, what was it? Well, anyway, so the point is...
I don't think I've seen that. Yeah.
If it comes to my mind, I'll tell you. But the basic premise of what ends up happening is it's the story of this like really proficient and, of great notoriety, this chef. Mm-hmm. And his origin is from Waterloo, Iowa, working in like a burger joint.
Really?
And I was like, and once I saw that in the thing, of course, you read yourself into the story.
Yeah.
Not that I'm
not the murdering
part.
The
murdering part. No. But that part, like I said, that came as a shock.
Yeah.
But it was like that. Just was. It's not necessarily glamorous, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
So that associating that love of working and doing that stuff with, and I like to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you got to hustle. I mean, in that situation, you got to hustle. Yep. It's like you said, fast paced, not just cooking, but just like the whole process and taking care of the customer and dealing with customers. Yep. I mean, like that's right. They order there, or they're ordering at the wherever. I mean, it's like that's right there, and you're getting it done. So that teaches you a lot of, I think, pretty useful customer service skills.
Absolutely.
In that space, because you see like the TV shows have been popular the last 15, 20 years, Gordon Ramsay's and Chopped and these competition shows with cooking and, best cakes or whatever, And, I mean, I find that, certainly Heidi likes it. Like she watches those type of shows, and I'll watch them, vicariously, and I'll see those, and I find it interesting. I don't think Gordon Ramsay is genuine. I hope he's genuinely not that angry of a human being. I think it's just his personality, and we were kind of in a Simon Cowell moment in that time when it came out, so we wanted a British guy to yell at us, which just
I never thought about
really
that.
sets me off, because I'm like, okay,
Can we fight?
Yeah, it's like something pretty much, yeah. But I'm hoping he's not as angry as that. But I can see why he's upset in certain. And then they have like the fit, like they're gonna fix your restaurant type shows and fix your bar and all that other stuff. So those are popular for a reason. People are fascinated by it, and I think if not every guy, just about every guy at one point in his life has considered having a bar. Like I would probably have a bar, and if I did, it would be like this, and but it's a lot of work. It is. I worked as a bartender in college, and some, maybe it was after college, I guess, a little bit, but and then so you're, like I wasn't cooking food, but I was serving it in the bar and things like that. So yeah, it's just you learn how to deal with people, and the ones it seems like this is completely off topic, but it's like the ones that because everybody's a small town, so everybody, and it's like that the ones that have or seem to have the larger checkbooks are like the worst tippers. It's like, I'm like, how did this happen?
How is that correlated?
Yeah, why is that?
It seems to be.
Maybe that's why they have larger checkbooks. They don't, I don't know.
You might be onto something.
Could be. So you had, obviously in high school, you had that experience, and then you moved on and
so after high school, I had started taking some classes at NIAC for a couple of semesters, and long and short ended up out in, DeKalb Corn. Mm-hmm. So DeKalb, Illinois. Yeah. So there's a small town called Malta, where my grandparents had lived, and at the time my parents had kind of settled down there, and my little brother and sister. So I ended up moving to be with them, and just kind of like I mean, at the time I was not quite 19. So, I mean, I was still pretty young.
Okay.
And I had, like I said, I'd been taking college courses and stuff like that. And so I ended up moving out there with them and was like, I don't know, just kind of wanting to explore life. Nothing, I didn't have like a radical desire to go like hike the mountains. But,
yeah.
I was like a little more free spirited, I should say, at the time, So I ended up, I started taking some just random college credits there, but more what ended up happening is I ran into some friends and who are still my friends. Some of them were coming out not next week, the week after, I think. I'm going to do some pheasant hunting. And we were in bands and we all worked at the same places. We'd get each other jobs at the security, I mean, we all did everything together. It was just a real fun time. We worked in some of the same kitchens.
Okay.
So that kind of ties back to what ended up happening is, I ended up working at this diner, kind of a diner. And short order cook, you take the stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like a juxtaposition of like a 50s diner kind of thing meets a hot dog stand.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the menu, I should say.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're familiar, like gyros and Italian beef, hot dogs, stuff like that, as well as some other specialty items that they did. And there was through a long series of just working and taking some classes and being in bands was a big thing that I was doing then.
Yeah.
Music was a big deal to me. And there was this kind of happenstantial opportunity where my parents and I opened this pizza place.
Okay.
Which it was like in that little local town.
Yeah.
That the man who had been running it had unfortunately passed away. But it was kind of a turnkey situation, and I was currently working at this restaurant. I was kind of excited about food, and I was like, I don't know, maybe we could do that, and so we did, and that started that, and then so we were in the midst of that, and my mom was like, "Hey, are you like serious about like doing this stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I've worn many hats, Food was always kind of something that I did.
Yeah.
So I started going to, you mentioned Gordon Ramsay, actually. Once my mom had kind of planted this seed in my mind of going to culinary school, there was a community college, Elgin Community College. It's outside of Chicago, about, I don't know, 30 miles or so. But they had a really good program. Once I got involved with it, it turns out, this is pretty highly regarded by even some of the other culinary schools in the area.
Okay.
Meaning it's not chump change.
Yeah.
Okay. Which you wouldn't think about it. Oh, it's just community college.
Yeah.
Don't knock it.
Yeah.
We did, it's a very good program. And so I get involved there. And so I actually really liked Gordon Ramsay. His personality was, it struck me as ostentatious. But I'm a little bit of an ostentatious guy sometimes. And so but then I liked how he would, come alongside them. And there'd be some tough love.
Yeah.
Sometimes too tough, or if you want to say that. But but then he'd come along and be like, he'd level with them. He'd rationalize with them emotionally, like get that thing. It's like, what's the breakdown here? Because what we got to do is not impossible. So I liked that kind of unearthing of people into their better self, if you will. And the context of a kitchen ends up doing that a lot. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of drama sometimes. There can be. And there's a lot of intensity. And so that's kind of like a crucible or an oven or a refiner's circumstance, that if you can get through that and if you can build a team through that, you end up with something remarkable.
Yeah. It's a lot of team building, isn't it? I mean, you really have to make everybody has to work together and synchronize for sure. So
that kind of set the stage then for continuing to work in other kitchens. Eventually, Mom and Dad decided that they needed to do something different. I had already kind of gotten involved with some other cooking in different kitchens. I was, working at a bar, managing their kitchen. Then I ended up down in Chicago for a little bit in Wicker Park, simultaneously working at a brewery that had just, so that the craft beer thing really was just turning.
Yeah.
So this would have been one of the first. Now there's like, I don't know how many tens of thousands of breweries there are in the country right now. I know it's in the tens of thousands.
Has it peaked? I mean, is it?
I think it did. Probably about 5 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe 8. But at the time, this was one of, I believe, there was it's either less than 3 or less than 5,000 breweries in the country at this point.
Okay.
So it was new.
Yeah.
When you compare it to where things got at the end of the trend, if you will. And they were doing brick oven pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how to make pizza.
Yeah.
Toss it up and all that. That's a skill,
Yeah.
I love doing that. But so I ended up getting plugged in there while I was working in Chicago. And I mean, it's a whole lifestyle, man. You're just working different times than other people are available. And you just kind of get lost in this world of just, you're in the restaurant but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's intense, but then anyway. So after my time in Chicago was done, the guy I was working for was like, "Hey, do you want full-time here and be just our head chef?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was, starting to build that, because I was supposed to be working as sous chef down in Chicago. I was trying to build my resume after being done with school,
right? Yeah,
get some of these experiences. So I got plugged in at this brewery, which carried over into our previous conversation a little bit. Like I got acquainted with the process and understood some of the dynamics and elements there. Had my time with them. Their company ended up splitting. I was then general manager of the restaurant, so it was like a brewery and then a restaurant separate. And interestingly enough, the place that my parents had gotten started and was available again, but had been like remodeled. There was some things that happened where like after we left, we were renting the building and renting the equipment. So it was like all there. So it was kind of convenient.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it was available. And I was provoked by a thought of, what if I just do that again?
Yeah.
With the things that I know.
Yeah.
That I've learned. I was telling my wife, who is Laura. I met her in high school. We got married in 2018. And so we were just kind of freshly married. This was December of 2019.
Okay. Okay.
We opened Village Pizza.
All right.
And then January 2020
something
was a
happened.
really good time.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't.
Yeah.
In about February and March, then it was really not great.
Yeah.
And then everything got wonky and weird.
Yeah. And you're in Illinois.
Yeah. Oh my.
So it's even
very, very
it's even worser, man.
Yeah. To say the least.
We didn't have that. I don't know. I think we had COVID like everybody else did in the world, but in Iowa,
I don't mean to contradict you.
Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska. I mean, it was like, but did we? It was. I mean, I know Minnesota did. But, they held on to it for a long time. Right. It's like they wanted it, but we just like we said we'll just we'll slow the curve down, and then we're gonna go back to doing track meets.
Yeah. Well, it was so funny because we would be in Illinois, and I'm not going. This is not a.
Yeah.
I'm going to get too into this, but the experience, without giving my opinion on everything, the experience was very profound in the sense that we would come visit, like her parents who lived in Forest City here, or other people for one reason, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that.
Yeah.
And we would come here, and it would be like, I feel like I'm like in another world, or I'm back. It's like I woke up from a really weird dream.
Yeah.
And it was that surreal because it would be just totally different.
Yeah,
it affected the restaurants in particular. And that was like an ever-changing month by month reality. We had no consistency in what we could offer, who could be in there.
Yeah, I mean they were. when that occurred in 2020, I was running the company over in Mesa City for the National Guard, and we had those additional responsibilities and keeping tabs on cases, and then obviously running tons of protective equipment,
Right.
all over the state with our trucks, and we just had routes, and it was an ongoing process, and that continued regardless. But I mean, we wore masks maybe for like the first week, and then we're like, yeah, but like you work way on that side of the building, and I'm on this side of the building, and they're in the middle of the building. Like, what are we doing? So that went away very quickly, and then we started realizing that, like, even our soldiers weren't getting, like there was a protocol, and nobody still really knew what it was, and so it was just a very different experience for me, even in the work setting. Mm-hmm. But then, like, with Heidi and at Litzens, they service, people from all over North America, and they would get people calling in from the West Coast or from the East Coast, and, are you alive? Like, how is it? And we're just like, I don't even know we forgot that was a thing. They're still living in it for 2 years,
yeah,
and we're not. And then right next door to the state of Iowa, Illinois, and to the north, Minnesota, they just had like completely different worldviews. Yes.
And it was, to kind of bring that's a whole.
But that would wreck a business, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like we had just started.
Yeah.
Like we had launched it. We had stopped working at the restaurant. And it was a quick turnaround because I had really calculated. I mean, I probably undershot, which is something that people often do.
Yeah.
But I had calculated enough to get off the ground. The kite's flying.
Yeah.
And I got it turned around in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
From stopping here to opening the door.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun. We did, what's that? We had the old Facebook page that my dad had kind of kept active on.
Yeah.
And then we eventually kind of took that back because it had a little bit of a following on it.
Yeah.
Years. So we were kind of trying to pick up the pieces of some of this stuff, but we are kind of going a new direction.
Yeah.
Menus changing ever so to some of these different things.
Yeah.
Going to be offering, just be run different.
Yeah.
And there was, I don't know what it's called. On the TV when the signal or like, I don't know, stay tuned or something like
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we just randomly once just posted this thing, stay tuned, and it just like caught all this attention from the people.
Yeah.
Like, what is this about? And then one day the sign was on, and because it was just like a soft launch.
Yeah.
And the word got around real fast that Village Pizza was back open. And it's interesting because that place had, before it was Village Pizza, it was JD's Pizza. But before it was JD's Pizza, it was Village Pizza.
Okay.
We didn't know that because we weren't living there at the time. That was back in the 80s and early 90s. And there's these pictures of Village Pizza. And we didn't know that was the name until we were actually leasing from the guy who used to run it originally. Yeah. He's like, yeah, that's what I called it. I'm like, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That it was like.
It had to be creative, though. I mean, like, did that... I don't know how Illinois did it, like where we're restaurant. I mean, everybody had restaurant rules to some degree, you know, obviously different here in Iowa than other places. But yeah, it caused, I saw a lot of creativity across the country of how, restaurateurs had to stay open. They had to figure that out. And so like you're moving outdoors and you're serving. So now you've got like, it was kind of cool in that regard. Like people pushed back outside,
Yep.
And even in Iowa, like we did that, people pushed out into the street, and it's kind of cool to see people out in the street. And you saw that on, with bars and whatever. So that was kind of nice to get out in the, get out again and get out in the street. And I know out in like California, they like parking lots became, basically their dining rooms, and so they obviously have different weather than we do here in the Midwest, so it could, but were you doing stuff like that or?
We did that a little bit. We had our model that we were kind of pushing from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And so this is where it kind of was like, this is like the best, worst thing that could really happen for us in the sense of like, this is not good.
Yeah.
But it's like, if it was going to be something for us, we were pushing the takeout, carry out model.
Okay. Okay.
We did have very rudimentary service, you know,
yeah.
almost like fast food. I mean,
Yeah.
we would bring out some stuff, but hey, here's your stuff.
Yeah.
Counter, take it, enjoy. Do you need something? Here's some stuff.
Carry out. That'd be,
Right?
yeah.
And that's what we were, but people did want to come dine in. And so we did have this like presence there of like, oh, people want to do this. So when we weren't allowed to do that, so they got to a point, I don't know, April, I think, is when it first really kicked off, the first executive order that changed things. Just nobody could be in there.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, our dining room's dead. We had, you know, from January to the middle of March, we really had a good start.
Yeah.
And it was like really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really were like, oh, hey, this might go.
Yeah.
You know, and and it was just got weird. So but all right. So now people take out, you know, curbside, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we were like, okay, we're essentially disrupted in that we can't do anything in the building. And it was just my wife and I running it.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, because I designed it to be, can I do this if it was just me?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have a wife who's willing to help.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but maybe if she's got to do something, you know, whatever. And so I built it to be like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because it's just, that's what I had my resources available to me too. But anyway, prior to that, I was managing, you know, a full service team.
Right. Right.
Okay. So, it's a wonderful thing. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot.
Right.
And so I was trying to kind of take a different, you know, I was at the time.
But a sit down restaurant, I mean, they're in trouble too. So like
Yes.
you're kind of on your own now and you're able to do, I can see that.
So we ended up being able to embrace some of that. I said, okay, we're just doing the carry out. We'll do the curbside. You know, at the time I was, I don't know, 29. So like I could handle just being like, kind of like always just go.
Yeah.
And the bar next door, they did a lot of trying to get creative with some of that outdoor seating and bringing out the heaters in the later fall and stuff like that. And there was a big community effort in the local apple orchard. A lot of everybody working together, people bringing stuff. So it was this really kind of profound opportunity of, even though there was isolation happening, there was interconnectivity taking place.
Yeah, right.
Creating new, you know, pathways of ideas and stuff like that. So it was interesting.
But did that ultimately come crashing down, or did you just move on to, like, how did you get back here?
So I am a little long-winded.
No, that's all right.
But it sets the stage for what we get back to the original question.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is, you know, we were running that for about 2.5 years, 3 years or so. And everything just started getting slow, and it was hard to really innovate because it kind of, one month to the next you can be open, now you got to wear a mask. Now this and so and that went on for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Of just like the powers that be telling us, well, on this day and at that night and this thing. And
like they knew what they were talking about.
Well, clearly they did.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
No, they were very successful.
Sure. Yeah. No.
So that created this environment of just kind of like fatigue of just, you know, you can only go out to eat so many times, and people are kind of, that shtick of support the local thing. I heard that every day for 2 years. It's like, okay, we get it. So I ended up working during the day as a water treatment specialist, kind of like a Culligan guy.
Yeah.
And Laura was working as a secretary at a church in the town over. And so we were doing that, and then we were running the pizza place, you know, 6 days a week we were working. And long and short, there was the position for the food service director at the school, got wind of that. And I always liked being at school, like Forest City School.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And there's pictures of me with the lunch ladies. They gave me pineapple and mandarin oranges for graduation. It's still because I love pineapple mandarin orange day. Anyway, so I had a lot of fun feelings, but then I was also kind of like, this is a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a rat race, but I'm, I don't know if I want this as a lifestyle for the rest of my life.
Yeah, the go, the restaurant, and you guys are working like 2 jobs each. Yeah.
And it was like, and a little bit of Illinois.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
A little bit of Illinois.
Okay.
Kind of done with a little bit of that. And that set me to pursue that position. And
I remember when you got hired. Like, I remember when the application came through. I was on the school board, still am, and I thought, well, this is great. I didn't even know that was a thing that you were doing, and so, yeah, and you've done a good job, and I think that's what is, and it's. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the business, because it is separate. I mean, it's not separate, but I mean, it's its own funding animal for schools, public schools, how they feed these kids. Now at our school, we're feeding there's over 1,000, every day, right around that, in between 900. I guess. How do you calculate that? Because some people do bring their own lunches, and you don't want to waste not, want not. Yeah.
No, that's a really good question. That's kind of one of the things that other food service directors. I'm part of a email thread and
right.
Excuse me, and connecting with other other directors at different districts and stuff like that, and everybody kind of has their own way of approaching that. We work off of basically a projection of the likelihood, essentially, of who will eat. We have kind of a basic, this is our maximum threshold. This is what's likely based off of past participation in this menu. And so we would hit 1,000 would be a really, really big day. But we also do service some of the other groups like Four Oaks and Head Start and Hanson Family Life Center.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are the daycare things. So we do some of those auxiliary groups as well. So I would include that in the daily count. I would say pretty solid about 800.
Yeah.
700 to 800.
Because people are bringing their own lunches. And not everybody's there.
That day. Some people are gone. Some people are sick.
Yep, sick. There's probably an algorithm that you can almost time to the particular time of year.
It's remarkable
how that's who's going to be gone and
that cycle.
Yeah,
it really. I mean, I don't have it like mapped explicitly, but it's such a intuitive feel.
Yeah.
And it's almost,
and who's getting, how many are getting double lunches and how many are getting,
and so it's interesting because the restaurant industry has that same.
Oh, sure they do, yeah.
Like January, February is a very slow time.
Yeah,
it's very slow. And if you go to a restaurant, good, you're doing the Lord's work because they
is that right?
They need you to go there.
There you go, everybody. Now you know. Yeah,
go in January.
Dead of winter, you need to make sure you take some extra time to get. I suppose is that the same just like nationwide, or is it just
from what I've seen?
Okay, really. So not just temperate zones, but where to get a little weather.
The Midwest is my main experience.
Yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, that's what people report is that dip.
Yeah,
and then right around March, people stop hibernating and
they want to get out.
It is kind of hard to get out and do stuff. It's the middle of winter. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you do see that kind of rhythm as well in the school year. And so, about that 700 to 800 figure.
How do you, so one of the things you publish the menus and you publish those and they're out for the entire month. So like you're thinking a month, 2 months, 3 months ahead, or how is this? And then your procurement too. Like, I mean, that's its own animal.
Yeah. So, and that's actually something just recently, there's been kind of a push and an initiative from the state, for directors. It's now a required element of training. So we have continuing training every year and a variety of topics of things that get hit. And one of them that now is mandatory is procurement. Because it is kind of I have not mastered it myself. I do rely heavily on the insights of my consultants and other people who are like specialists in that. But going back to those two things are tied in the sense of the menu planning. So basically I try to follow best practices that are set in place from my state consultants in regard to running these programs, because these programs are not necessarily like a restaurant.
Right.
There's some carryover in the physical work, but what has to take place on a day-to-day basis in regard to the meal that is presented is very much a different thing.
Yeah, my memory, we were obviously in school at different times, but my memory is that, there were a couple of church ladies that were also lunch ladies. And I mean, they would peel the potatoes and they would make the pizza that was like, I think like it looked like it was on a sponge, I mean, they goulash, for the love of God, why? And then just on and on, all of this stuff. But do you make a lot of it, or what percentage is it like? I mean, because there's got to be some.
Yeah. So
is it a lot of prep, preparing what is kind of already made, or are you making some things, and how does that work?
Sure, that's a really good question. So there is another initiative on the state level to really push and get back to scratch. Okay.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
It is a good idea.
Yeah, but
it's easier said than done.
Yeah, right.
For a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
One of the major reasons it would be difficult to just kind of go immediately back to that is it does take a lot of hands.
Yeah.
And hours, if you will, to do some of these things, because essentially you're catering every day for 800 people, and you don't know how many are going to be there.
Right.
And so you need to be able to mitigate your waste, right? But you also need to be able to produce something that can be ready to go, kind of in a moment's notice sometimes. So to go in the meal planning I do, about the best practices that have been presented to me are cycle menus. So I have about 7 weeks planned.
Okay.
And each one of these weeks are broken into criteria that I have regulatory expectation that throughout the week, there's certain things that have to be hit. And so what I have done essentially, or what I'm trying to work towards is, at least one day of the week, if not more, there's a component for like an entree that is we produce in-house. And so one of the things that we also do with that is standardizing the recipes. And so this year we've been really working on going through the recipes that we're doing, getting them, up to snuff, because there is regulatory oversight on these recipes and how they're articulated, stuff like that. And the more we're able to anticipate the cycle, the easier it is to incorporate, let's say it's like a really popular item. And can we make that? I mean, now that we know that people are interested in this, now we can pursue and say, can we improve on that?
Yeah, right.
Can we make that? Because it's a lot of effort to incorporate a whole new recipe, have it go flat.
Yeah.
And now right? So it's kind of a risk.
How do you do this? How do you sense whether the kids like it or not?
Participation.
Yeah.
I want to eventually kind of go more in. I'd like to get more interactive with the students, maybe some surveys and stuff like that.
Right.
That's kind of down the road for me once I can get like just a little more acquainted and on top of it. I mean, it's a big, many moving parts to this. To do one thing different changes a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But that's the main driver, would be participation.
What does the, special diets that people have now that are, it seems like every kid's got an allergy of some sort. And so how does that play into what you're processing, through the kitchen and all that?
Well, there is an expectation. So we participate in the National School Lunch Program, and that goes back to, I think, I just learned this summer. I want to say, I'm not gonna say it incorrectly, but I know it was before 1950.
Okay.
Or 60, and it might even be in the 30s. But it basically went back to a period where nutrition was a concern, for just in general, like food scarcity.
Yeah.
And so this program was set up by Congress to facilitate access to nutrition.
Yeah. Make sure we had the kids
are eating stuff.
Yeah. The calories taken care of.
Exactly. So they're not fighting.
And I mean, they had the food pyramid upside down for about 60 years or so. So
there's a South Park episode where they joke about that, where the pyramid is to be turned upside down, but a couple years later it ends up being like they were joking.
Yeah, they
were right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. But I forgot where we were going with that specifically. We were talking about I was talking about the National School Lunch Program.
Well, it's just a lot. I mean, I know you have a lot of, so the USDA is a part of our, budgeting. What people think that we get a lot of federal funds in public schools. And I guess if you compare it to your household budget, then yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a tiny drop in the bucket. Most of our school budgets come from actually property taxes, local taxes, and obviously what we get in state supplemental aid, which is all collectively from property taxes essentially, and some income. But USDA, the federal government obviously has oversight of our lunch program and also transportation, two different things. That's kind of where the main federal dollars go, is our busing, making sure we get kids to school, and then our feeding the kids when they're at school as well. And we're only allowed to charge, we have to raise prices. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. We are required by the USDA to raise prices every year. Yep. And we have to do that. And I think for a city, we just raise it a nickel because we keep it as the lowest possible, required that you have to do. And that doesn't keep up necessarily with inflation or whatever, but it's part of it. So you're just helping people understand, it is a different animal and how that all works. And you've got to comply with all the rules for, sanitary practices of any kitchen. You've got to handle food safety. You've got to handle, obviously, you're dealing with people. You have a team that you have to rely on and all of that. People. So this restaurant experience comes in. The hustle from back at A&W comes into play and all of the other things. And then, of course, now it's a lot of the budgeting and the projecting and your menu. And it's not like you're not running a pizza joint where you're known for Village Pizza and your menu that you've created, although you're getting towards maybe some specialty items that are they like, say, hey, yeah, Wellendorf came and now we've got fill in the blank.
There was actually one thing that came back. Yeah. Was Italian dunkers.
Oh, yeah.
So you remember that? Did you ever have that?
No. I said, again, I was in the goulash era. Okay. So we were thinking, I don't know why,
there's some commodity items that are you just get a lot of it and you got to do something with it,
we ate a lot. I ate a lot of peanut butter sandwiches,
So that would be one that was kind of like resurrected when I was there, and now it's been standardized into because things have changed since I was there in high school from a regulatory standpoint. Going back to what you were saying for example, we participate in the National School Lunch Program overseen by the USDA. Yes, we have to accommodate allergies. Yeah. Right. So we do try to have some options for students that unfortunately just can't participate. So we have to do that, but we're not like upset about it. It's we set that in place ahead of time. I want to work within that framework of these are the expectations, these things. It's kind of in a tier for me. Maybe it's an upside down pyramid, but like the compliance is kind of like, whereas before it may have initially been like menu experience, because the hospitality thing for me, that was like what I also was in school for, culinary and hospitality stuff. There's only so much of that can exist once you go through the filter of compliance. Right. And so how you achieve compliance and all these different things are, because the funding is tied to that. Yeah. So just to clarify on that, or not clarify, but to reaffirm what you're saying, the increase of the price, basically, as the USDA offers funding, they have an expectation of districts who participate in this program that you need to attempt to close the gap. So like a paid lunch, for example, is, I don't know, $3.30 this year. a lunch that is reimbursed for free, for example, is like $4.97.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a gap there of like what I receive, or not I, but what the district would receive, as a result. And so that's why the USDA pushes that, because they're trying to at least ensure that there's an effort,
right?
To get
and there's free and reduced lunches, and that's a whole thing on its own. So based on the per capita income of your families in your school district and where you're at with that, and so then it's like you're not necessarily paying the full price, or pay, depending on what your ratio is, you may not be paying anything. And so people, there's a lot of, look, it's government. There's a lot of things behind it, and at the end of the day, you're just trying to make sure that the kids are fed, that they're happy, that they're maybe they've got their favorites, I'm sure, so they look forward to certain things, and but you can't make everybody happy, that from,
you can't
and
do
you're
pizza
serving
every
this,
day.
you can't do pizza every day, no. And
Although I did when I was at Village Pizza, I made pizza.
That's because that they came to you, they wanted that. That's what they wanted. Yeah. Well, I think that we're pushing up against the clock here, and this is a great conversation. It's fun to tie all of that together, and to see that there's multiple interests. I mean, you were in you community theater. You played Scrooge. Music is still important to you.
Yeah, music.
People can tell by your demeanor and the delivery. This is an audio format, but it's like you're well spoken. So like clearly the vocabulary part lends it to some drama in there, which is good storytelling. I think that, and I think I might have shared this with you. If I hadn't, this is going to hit you sideways. But I definitely have shared it tongue in cheek with the school board, not in the regular minutes, obviously. But I was like, there's that space, that weird. We're always trying to figure out, one of the building projects and the improvements that we can to our facilities at the local school district, and there's that weird. They built it in the late '70s green space that's off the gym, off the cafeteria, between the courtyard that is overgrown, and it's mostly windows as you walk in. So as you're going to a basketball game or a volleyball game, you see this window area that just leads nowhere, and I think that would look beautiful if we just close that in with a nice roof, put a nice concrete floor in there, and then lots of big copper kettles, and now we've got the guy, we just listen, kids, we're going to combine FFA,
there you go,
culinary things, we're going to do brew making, we're going to do business courses, we're going to do marketing, and obviously none of you can taste any of this, but we're going to start selling our public school beer. Wouldn't that be something?
We can, as long as you set it up right. This is fundraising. It's doing all. It's a wonderful cause. That courtyard. I remember in school that always felt like Narnia or something.
It's weird.
In there. Like,
what's in there?
What's in there?
Yeah.
So actually, believe it or not, I know we're getting to the end here, but there was, May term. They do May term, and so I've been blessed to be. People asked me to just kind of participate with their different projects that they're doing, and one of them that was really fun was there was a small garden, and basically the thrust of it was the last week of school, the students were gonna put this garden together and plant these sweet peas, because there was this grant initiative for sweet peas that year, and I'm like, well, okay, we could plant them and then I'll harvest them and then bring them to the summer program once they're ready. So there was tiny little synergies like that. That space, trying to redeem that space, but it is kind of it just was like,
it's a weird spot.
What is it doing? Now I have a key to get into that spot.
Do you?
And so it was like,
you see students in there that are in their little lab coats. They got their nice little brewmaster coats on. They're just in there. We got a variety of things going. There's a weird pumpkin spice happening over here. Things like that.
Maybe a key lime pie.
It could be. It's just like, they don't know. It's just lots of interest. Anyway, that's obviously not going to fly. But I think, that's the kind of way that I think about solutions for things like that. But and I guess we'll wrap up on this too. Like, in the future, I'm hoping that these conversations, lead to more buying local, trying to do procurement locally, trying to, you want to get fresh foods from. Not that our food isn't fresh, but you want to be able to. People think like public school food, I mean, and somewhere in the back of their head, they're like government cheese and things like that. You know what I mean?
There's a whole thing behind that where there was just one instance where like there was just this huge surplus of cheese.
Yeah.
And it like was around for a while.
Yeah.
And so it became this like government cheese thing. And it's like, well, it's just cheese.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they bought a lot of the Wisconsin cheese, I suppose. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, okay. So real quickly about the procurement, and this is something that this is why cycle menus are so critical, because I have to basically project out at the beginning of January what I'm going to do next year. Like the year that I'm in,
oh, wow.
I've already lived that year, if you will.
Sure.
I'm always living the next year now, which is kind of a strange thing.
Yeah.
But that means I have to get information to some of the like the USDA foods and other vendors that I work with. Like, this is my projections on what I plan to use of these product codes,
right,
or something like that. And I got to know I need 2,000 cases of this, or so on and so forth.
Sure.
So that takes a little bit to get good at. I'm still getting better at it, but having that consistent menu helps. But some of that too is once you get that menu and we say, all right, we're making beef shreds is a thing. You know, it's like a shredded beef kind of Italian thing on a bun. And, you know, last year I kind of experimented with taking that, instead of using the pre-made product, I just made it out of chuck roll that I bought, because I can buy what are called micro purchases, you know. Once you get to a certain threshold, you have to bid out an item. But it is nice to be able to experiment. It gives you a little bit of flexibility, so you don't, because there is a formal bid process and all these different things and so on and so forth. And to be able to say, can we, there's not, it's just comes down to, you know, there is a little bit of bureaucracy of like, you got to follow the steps and the paperwork and this and that. And I'm willing to do that. It's once I can know that it's like, hey, this is an avenue to go. Yeah. I can go there and I'm willing to put in the work to do it. It's just got to, for me, it's just got to make sense to like, oh, this is something worth doing that for, because people want it. Yeah. But I would love to, you know, incorporate locally sourced things. You know, I don't know. Maybe even, I know we do. We're just starting now. It's really actually very charming. There's a student who's working in the ag department, bringing lettuce. Yeah. Whatever little bits that they can harvest. Okay. He brings it down and then, all right, we wash it up. We get it ready. Health department, as long as it's grown on the property. Oh, okay. I can put that out there. Okay. So that's, I know that there is some farmland that there's been some ag, you know, groups and stuff, but all right, could we raise a little bit of lettuce? Yeah. You know, or he's doing the same thing with basil. Yeah. You know, that's a simple way to synergize where it's like showing the value of finding a market, finding an outlet. Yeah, and showing people where their food comes from. Yeah. That's good for kids to know. I think that's wonderful. Yep. So those are little things that I'm trying to, little by little, because keep working on that. Yeah. I love it. Well, there's a lot to talk about. I think that it's very interesting, and you personally have a variety of interests, which has synergized into what you're doing now, and to continue to do off the campus grounds and just in your activities in the community and your personal interests. So very interesting guy, Chris Wellendorf here, the director of food service for Forest City Community Schools, but also an actor, as you proclaimed yesterday at the golf tournament, and an actor and a brewmaster, and on and on and on, all these wonderful things. So very fortunate to have you in the community. Glad that you're running our show with the food at our school. Good. That's a big part of memories of a kid's life is the lunchroom. And so appreciate what you're doing. And when people leave and they leave that lunchroom every day, and I know there's like 3 or 4 lunch periods. As it's varied between the junior high and the high school or whatnot. And of course, the elementary school, and you're feeding all these places. Like when they leave happy, I mean, you truly are being the sunny side of somebody's life. That's the whole goal. I like that. I'm happy to be a part of that, and I'm grateful that you brought me onto the show. Happy to be doing what I'm doing. And yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. And we'll talk again.
When the shadows fall and doubts begin to creep, remember together we're strong, never weak. Lift your neighbor up with kindness every day. Let your actions speak the words you want to say.
The Sunnyside of Life is a weekly production about our life on the family farmstead here in Iowa, the liberties we prize, and the pursuits which make us happy. None of this is possible, of course, without Christ in our lives. For the Lord God is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory.
Be the sunny side of someone else's life. Share your light and joy through struggle and strife. Keep your heart open and your soul always bright. Together we will share this sunny side life. Be the sunny side of someone else's life. Share your light and joy through struggle and strife. Keep your heart open and your soul always bright. Together we will share this sunny side life.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may the sunny side of your life in Christ be made evident unto you each and every day, and give you peace.